Welcome everybody, Film Fan 108 here to my Blu-ray pickup video for July of 2019. And as you can see here guys, I have a slightly smaller stack compared to last month, but some really interesting variety right here. So let's get into it, shall we, with the first title that I picked up for July, and that is none other than the tough ones right here with this really great sort of cover right here, man. Really nice case, man. And as you can see, well, the artwork alone here is really cool. I love the artwork, man. Really kick ass. And on the inside art, it also goes by a different name, Assault with a Deadly Weapon, right here. I love that art, man. That is really cool art with the skull, and yeah, man, I like that a lot. So it came with that. On top of that, it also came with the Tough Ones soundtrack right here, guys, which is actually a really cool soundtrack, man. I like the soundtrack a lot on this one. So that's what it came with as well, on top with everything else. And it also came with a booklet as well with another name for the movie. It comes with a lot of different names. Brutal Justice as well. And of course, the booklet has a lot of pictures and, about the making of the movie and everything. Not bad at all. Grindhouse Releasing always goes out of their way, and this release is no exception, guys. Now, let's talk about this movie, shall we? Because I had never heard of this movie. So when Grindhouse ended up announcing it, I was like, okay, I kind of got to check this out. It looks interesting. And basically, it's about this cop who is so fed up with the system, man. He is so upset by it. He's like, God, these criminals are getting away with murder, and they're raping women, and they're stealing, and they're just running amok, and no one's doing anything about it. And God damn it, why isn't anybody doing anything? And he just wants to be a vigilante, and he just wants to go out and get this stuff done and kill these people because nothing is being done about it. The law basically lets these people just go, and there's nothing he can do about it. And so he wants to take the law into his own hands. And it's really sleazy. It's action filled. You've got some really scummy characters in here, including the cop. I really love it. It's basically from the 70s, and it's got the 70s style, whether it's the hair or the clothes, the way people acted back in the day. So fantastic, man. I mean, the back of this pretty much says he's the Italian version of Dirty Harry, and they're not wrong. I mean, he's somebody just so pissed off about everything. He just wants to just kill all these motherfuckers, and he does, man. It's just really interesting, just these characters and how sort of just crazy and ridiculous and over the top and scummy they are, and just how much they use and abuse people. It was really interesting. I really liked this one quite a bit. I mean, I thought the blood was really cool here as well. I like the action scenes. It's directed by Umberto Lenzi, who directed Cannibal Ferox, and you know I love my cannibal movies, and I definitely have that in the collection. So I was really interested in checking this one out, and I was not disappointed, man. It's a cool slice of 80, or not 80s, 70s Italian action thrillers, and it was really well done, guys. I honestly really enjoyed it, and for me, man, it was a really good blind buy. Usually, anything with Grindhouse Releasing, I at least look into wanting to buy because they always put out these really interesting releases that sometimes I've never heard before, and they have a great track record. So usually, I'm on board with at least something that they usually come out with every single year, and the Tough Ones was definitely one of them for this year, guys. Not bad at all. And you get a lot of special features here, guys. You get the original unrated and uncensored director's cut, and trust me, it is uncensored, man. You get a lot of really dirty, grimy scenes. Put it that way. You have a 4K resolution, and it does look really good. Honestly, it's not the best picture quality you've ever seen, but I thought they really updated it in a great way for this '70s movie. You have optional Italian language soundtrack. You have the audio commentary by Mike Malloy, who's the director of Eurocrime, and he really talks about this movie and talks about how it influenced him and talks about how it influenced other Italian cinema. Very interesting audio commentary. You also get brand new in-depth interviews with the director and the actors, screenwriters, composers. Very fascinating stuff talking about the making of the movie, what they felt about the reception of the movie years later, everything. Just very fascinating, well-rounded interviews. Special tribute to Maurizio Merli with appearances by Enzo Castellari and Ruggero Deodato. You get original international theatrical trailer, liner notes, bonus CD, as I showed you guys, and this. It's not a real bullet, I swear, guys. It's not a real bullet at all. I swear to you, I wouldn't show you a real bullet. It's actually a bullet pen, which is actually really cool. It's got the tough ones, if you can kind of go there. The tough ones logo right there. Really interesting. And it's actually a real pen, and you just write with it. I cannot wait to use this. I want to go in public and just sort of whip out a bullet and oh, and just do that. I was like, no, it's a pen, I swear. Like I would love to do that, guys. This is a really cool thing. I ordered through Diabolic DVD, so when you did that, you actually got this with it. Very cool. I'm actually looking forward to using this in public. I really am. I'm kind of giddy about it, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, man, this was a really, really cool movie. Like I said, a really great slice of 70s. And you can really see the influence that this movie had on other Italian films later on, and even stuff in American cinema as well. Really interesting. I really liked it a lot, and I love a lot of the stuff that Grindhouse Releasing puts out, and top quality, and this is no exception, guys. Definitely give it a look if you are interested. The tough ones. Then the next pickup that I got, guys, is a release from Kino Lorber. And oh, I've never heard of this one. And God, I wish I would have, because man, this is so damn good. And it's Tough Turf with James Spader, Robert Downey Jr., Kim Richards is in this. Oh man, this is really great, guys. You know, I'm a huge fan of James Spader, man. James Spader, dude, back in the day, man, at least for me, he could do no wrong, man. He was this great sort of 80s sort of yuppie bad guy at times. He was this sort of really great sort of at times in the 90s like a really weird sex symbol, whether we're talking about Crash or that movie. I think it was called Secretary or something like that. He's had a lot of different phases in his career, and I've always loved James Spader, man. And this one, when I got announced from Kino Lorber, I was like, wait a minute, I've never heard of this one, man. An 80s movie with Spader that I'd never heard of. I had to jump on it. And this is a really interesting movie. Basically, he plays this sort of kid in high school who comes to this sort of new town, new area, and he goes to the school, and basically there are this gang of kids who are they are just stealing from people, they're beating people up, they're sort of just rough hooligans, and he comes in to try to rough up the system and be the bad boy, and meanwhile trying to fall in love with the girl that also the leader of the gang is actually in love with as well and is using and abusing, and sort of they get into this sort of war for the turf. They are, they're being tough and wanting to take over the turf. Tough turf, right? And I really enjoy this one a lot, guys. This is a real great slice of 80s. Kind of like how the Tough Ones was a really great slice of like the 70s Italian cinema. This is a really great slice of the 80s. Whether we're talking about the clothing, whether we're talking about the hair. I mean, look at this. I mean, that pretty much is 80s, man. And it just really felt just oozing with 80s, but also just oozing with charisma from all these actors, whether it's Kim Richards, whether it's James Spader, whether it's Downey. Man, I mean, Downey's come a long way, and this is just seeing just early work from him and Spader. It's kind of interesting, guys, because I think we look back on these movies now and we say, oh wow, Spader and Downey and with these big stars, and I can only imagine being in the movie theater watching a movie like this when it first came out, and thinking to myself, who are these people? You know, who are they? Are they gonna make it big in Hollywood? I don't know if I like these people or not. It's kind of interesting looking at perspective. Like we look at these young stars nowadays, whether or not they'll make it in Hollywood, whether or not they're good enough or glamorous enough or whatever. Think about that back in the day with like the early 80s with people like Spader and Downey, and thinking to yourself like, boy, people must have been in the theater wondering like, what are these people about? What's their deal? Are these people going to make it big or not? I mean, it's very interesting, and I would love to go back in time and just sit in the theater and watch this movie and just sort of see people's reactions to these type of movies, man. It's really fascinating stuff. And honestly, it's just a really great, well done movie. I like the action here. I like the humor. I like the music here. I I just like the whole thing of like some kid on a bike going to high school and him trying to be the bad boy and defending his turf. Like for some reason that is so 80s to me. And this is dripping with 80s big time, guys. I really enjoyed the hell out of this title, man. I really did. It's one of those surprise titles where I think a lot of these people's early work, I don't think we go back to anymore because I think we're kind of like, well, it's their early work. They weren't that great in their early work. But it's so fascinating to look at actors back in the day, man, because again, it's before the fame, it's before all the money, it's before, all the popularity, and it's kind of cool to see the early beginnings of these people. I think it's really fun, man. And it's a really great, interesting slice of 80s. Like I said, if you like a lot of those 80s sort of, bad boy movies, this is pretty much right up there, guys. It really is pretty cool. And Kino Lorber definitely gave it the love it deserved, guys. The picture quality looks pretty decent here. You also get a theatrical trailer and you get an audio commentary by the director. This is a really great, interesting audio commentary because he really has no sort of like reservations in saying that this movie is a gold standard or something. He knows that this movie is just okay, but he's like, hey, it's a slice of the 80s. We did what we did, and these and he saw talent in these actors when no one else would. And he also talks about the ending of the movie, how they went over budget, and a certain producer at one time just said he just cut it. He said, this is it, we're not filming anymore, and that's done. And he talked about him having a whole sequence at the end that resolved everything, and that never happened. It feels a little cut short, but I still love it, man. And I think this is a blast to watch, man. Just seeing the clothes and the hair and the 80s style and the music and everything takes me back in a big bad way. And that's why I love these 80s movies, because it's just nostalgia, baby. It's nostalgia in a big bad way, and I love it so much. So this is a really great one, man. It's one that I don't think a lot of people know about, but definitely give it a chance if you don't know anything about it, because you might be pleasantly surprised. I know I certainly was. Not bad at all. Tough turf. And the next pickup that I got, guys, was a documentary about a making of a movie. Now, you guys know that I really love those type of documentaries. I love the whole process of movie making and what goes into it. And so I really wanted to pick this one up because I really do like that first movie. And it is What Happens in the Woods, the story of Don't Fuck in the Woods. Yes, now, a long, long while back in the Blu-ray pickup video, I showed you guys that I got the Blu-ray release of Don't Fuck in the Woods, a low-budget horror movie that, has its charm. It's not the greatest horror movie you've ever seen. It might not be even the greatest low-budget horror movie you've ever seen, but I like the creature, I like the effects. The characters are kind of ridiculous and over the top and cheesy, but that's what you get with your low-budget horror. I tend to like that. On top of that, you get some TNA and some naked action too. All the cravings of a low-budget horror film. It's not bad. But I think what the controversy was all about with this movie was the fact of the title, Don't Fuck in the Woods. And some people really liked the title and praised it. Other people basically, flat out gave it, the worst ratings you've ever seen and basically gave the filmmakers death threats. I mean, there were very two extremes with this movie, and it's all based on the title alone. And it was really fascinating because on the inside here, you get this little paper slip here. And Concept Media Films really says about how they've been making films since 2011. After years of hard work, Don't Fuck in the Woods was pirated over 2 million times. Think about that for a second, guys. It was illegally downloaded and pirated 2 million times. That's really crazy when you think about it. The fact of, how that affects, people's, money situation, how, people don't get paid because of it. It's, how that affects people's, like, business aspects and how they want to make more movies. A lot of things. Very interesting how it's got pirated over 2 million times, but it's such an interesting documentary because they go into everything about how they came up with the concept for the movie, how they came up with the title, how the title really stirred up a lot of controversy among their own friends and among their business partners, and how not many people really wanted to take a risk and a chance on this, and how they still wanted to make it regardless. They talk about going into, being in the woods and actually making the film, how they cast it, the process of doing the effects, and even up to the point of actually like how they had to go to film festivals and how people would pick at this film, and how it was one of the most searched horror movies in a very long time, and just how all the controversy came to be, and how it really spurred on this director's filmmaking career. And it even talks about the idea of that these people still haven't seen a lot of money from this movie. The idea that some of their distributors who put out the movie still haven't even paid them to this day. That seems to be a running thing with these low budget horror movies, I find, is that the more popular they are, these distributors just take the money and run. I've noticed that quite a bit, guys. But it's a really fascinating and interesting documentary. It goes into a lot of really fascinating aspects. I really liked it quite a bit. I mean, it talks with the director, it talks with the producers, it talks with the stars of the first movie, it talks with a lot of YouTube personalities who have reviewed this movie. It talks to them as well. It also talks to stars of the second movie who commented on the first film. A lot of things, man. It goes into a lot of things, of whether it's the drama, whether it's the aspects of how tough the filming of the movie was. I really do like this documentary quite a bit. I will admit there is moments where the documentary is kind of padded out a little bit, alternate or deleted scenes, which is already on the special features, which they probably could have left out. And there's a moment here where the producers end up saying something about how Sean Burkett, the director, reminds them of Sam Raimi and Robert Rodriguez. And there was a moment where I'm like, whoa, pump the brakes there for a second. Because as much as I like Sean Burkett, and I think Sean Burkett's a really great filmmaker, a great low-budget horror filmmaker, he's nowhere near Sam Raimi or Robert Rodriguez. I mean, he's got a long while to go before his name is ever mentioned with those same people. But, I mean, he's still a good filmmaker. He's still somebody that pours his heart and soul into his material and his work. I like a lot of his stuff, and it's a really interesting documentary. I just kind of wish it would have been on the original Blu-ray of Don't Fuck in the Woods, because I would have liked to have had this as a special feature on there instead of on a standalone disc. But I understand why they put on a standalone disc and why they put it out the way they did. I'm still happy to have it, guys, and it is really worth it. And as you can see on the cover here, I got it directly from Concept Media, so I got it signed by the director and some of the stars, and very, very cool. Thank you, Concept Media, for that, by the way. And, again, it's a really fascinating and interesting documentary that is worth your time if you like these documentaries about making films and everything. I certainly do. I really enjoy that type of stuff, and this honestly really didn't disappoint, guys. Not half bad at all. And you get alternate versions of a bunch of different scenes here. You get behind the scenes footage of a short film they did, plus much more as well. It's a controversial movie because of the title. The movie itself is pretty decent for a low budget film, but I think the title is what really gave it the gravitas that it did and made it the success that it did, rightfully so. And they are currently right now filming Don't Fuck in the Woods 2. I actually contributed to their Indiegogo campaign, so I will eventually get in my hands Don't Fuck in the Woods 2. So I will have two films in the collection that are called Don't Fuck in the Woods. Hey, I don't mind it, but yeah, interesting documentary. Definitely check it out if you're a fan of low budget horror filmmaking. What happens in the woods? Then the next title that I picked up is a title from Dark Force Entertainment. And that is none other than Dead Pit right here, guys. With this really great slipcover, man. This thing is fucking boss, dude. This looks fantastic. I love this slipcover so much with coming out of the grave with the hands and everything. I love that so much. The back of it, which is really cool. I love the back of it so much. And on the inside is just the same artwork as well. Not half bad, guys. This is a really great movie of this chick who ends up going to this sort of asylum and she can't remember her memory or what's going on. And, you know, these people are trying to, like, get her to remember, and all the while, you know, she's seeing this like guy who used to be a doctor in the asylum, and he's sort of coming up from the grave and killing people, and there's a connection between him and her that she doesn't realize towards the end. And just really great, gory, bloody fun. A really great, underrated zombie movie. I remember when I first watched this, and I think I might have watched it on like Cinemax or something back in the day, and I just immediately fell in love with it. For some reason, it was like this low budget, cheesy horror flick that I was really kind of shocked by, that it didn't get the kind of love that it honestly deserves. Because there's a lot of zombie movies out there that actually get a lot more love that honestly really don't deserve it. And this one, yes, it's cheesy. Yes, the acting is over the top and ridiculous. Yes, the effects are a little cheapo. But something about it I really love. I love the cheapo effects. I love that acting. I love the gory and bloody fun when people get killed. You know what, man? I just really have a fun time with this movie. I really do, and it's something that just is really fun. I mean, whether again, like I just love. I look at the back with that guy with like the red eyes, or like people coming out of like the hole there, and just like coming up and killing people. Like, I don't know, for some reason this movie, I watched it. I think I watched it at a right time. Like, I watched it at the most perfect time as like a teen, where like it was like that perfect time of like, oh, this is really cool and I've never seen anything like this and this is awesome. And I think it just sort of stuck with me. It honestly did. And I've always been a fan of Dead Pit. I always thought it was vastly underrated, and I always felt it's one of those ones where when people talk about underrated zombie films, this has got to be on the list. It honestly does. I think it's really fun, guys. And I'm so glad that there's a Blu-ray edition of it that came out, because it's been quite a long time. And I got to admit, Dark Force did a great job here, man, because again, this looks really awesome. And by the way, I'm going to put in a clip, by the way, guys, because this slipcover actually glows in the dark. I'm going to cut to a clip here that will show you that it glows in the dark. And as you can see here, turning off the lights and then turning it back on and then turning it off again, you can see the glow in the dark stuff, and it looks so cool, guys. It looks really cool, man. I don't have any slipcovers in my collection that actually have glow in the dark to it. I don't think I ever do. So this is the first one I've ever had, and I gotta admit, really super cool. And They were originally going to go with sort of the blinking eye that was on the VHS box, but they decided to go against that and do something a little bit different with the glow in the dark. And honestly, I think it's really cool. I think it really worked quite a bit, guys. I do. And, give Dark Force credit, and this is also a Code Red release as well, so they sort of combined efforts. It came packaged really well, and I think they did a great job with the picture quality. I think the picture quality looks outstanding for such a low budget sort of 80s movie. For the fact that it looks as good as it does is a real testament to them and the cleanup that they did on this. And I will say this much. You do get some special features here. You get on-camera interview with stars Cheryl Lawson, Jeremy Slate, director Brett Leonard, and writer-producer Jamel Everett. Now, I will say something about Brett Leonard. Brett Leonard actually went on to direct The Lawnmower Man. Now, talk about sort of a low-budget horror filmmaker going to a little bit more of a bigger budget. He's also done a lot of other different work as well. Definitely look him up. He's a really great sort of guy in his interviews, and he seems to be a really great director and a very humble guy. Very interesting that he went from something low-budget zombie thing to this, to something like The Lawnmower Man. Really interesting stuff. But I will say this much, though, guys, that even though there's some decent special features here, I have the 2-disc DVD edition of Dead Pit. Now, this edition is out of print, and it goes for, I believe, some pretty big money on eBay. Now, I am not getting rid of this edition anytime soon, and the reason why is because as much as I love this edition, this Blu-ray edition, and I will cherish this for sure, this edition, guys, this edition has way more special features to it. You have the audio commentary with director Brett Leonard, Jamel Everett, and Jeremy Slate. You also have a gallery from Brett Leonard's archives. You have behind-the-scenes footage of special effects test footage. You have the Dead Pit mini-movie with alternate makeup and scenes. You have special effects test footage and behind-the-scenes with a special effects artist as well. You also have the original theatrical trailer and plus much more. There is a lot more stuff in here than you get in this release, guys. Now, I only wish that Dark Force would have made this a 2-disc set. Now, I know they would argue and say, oh, well, it would have cost too much money and ba-da-da. No, it wouldn't have. Maybe it would have cost an extra $5 for us Blu-ray lovers to pick it up. Maybe $5, maybe $10, which I would not have complained buying whatsoever. And another person that I know who does YouTube ended up telling me that, you know what, Blu-rays can hold quite a bit of capacity anyways, so they could have put all this stuff on the disc and still not have lost much picture quality at all. So I think that's a really kind of bummer that that's what they did on this, guys. And on top of that, I will say this about Dark Force Entertainment. I can't say too much bad about them because honestly, it came packaged really well. It looks amazing. The picture quality is awesome here. But I will say this much, that the guy who runs it, his name is Demon. And he seems like a genuine guy overall, but I don't like the fact that they've kind of encouraged the scalpers a little bit. I've seen some of his live streams where he goes out of his way to say, oh, this is gonna be, a collector's item, and we're gonna sell it to as many people as we want, and we don't care if we sell 10 or 20 copies to people as long as, we get our money. And I kind of think that's a real bummer, guys, because I don't like encouraging scalpers. I want everybody who loves this movie to get a chance to have it. And I've already seen things on eBay about this movie, and it's going for big money on eBay already because you encourage scalpers, because people can buy, 5, 10 copies of this. Of course they're going to go on eBay and sell it. That's just what they do. I hope in the future with these releases, I hope they don't end up, encouraging the scalpers anymore, because you don't need to encourage them. And even they talked about how there's 80 or 90 copies left of this, and it will go out of print. But the fact that he's going to hold on to 10 copies of the movie, why are you holding on to 10 copies of this movie? You know, is he gonna sell it on eBay? I mean, that's what I don't understand. But I mean, it's a great release. I really think Dark Force is a really good company. I just hope in the future they try not to encourage scalpers so much, guys. I really hope they don't, because it's a real bummer, and I don't think that collectors really deserve to be shit on by these eBay scalpers. I really don't. But this will definitely go out of print, guys. So if you have not picked it up, definitely do it. And if you're a lover of zombie movies or low budget horror zombie movies, give it a chance, because it's actually pretty damn good, guys. Not half bad. Finally have it in the collection in Blu-ray form. Really happy. Dead Pit. And the next title that I picked up, guys, is an Arrow video release. And oh, I've been waiting to get this on a really good Blu-ray edition. Finally, I got it, thank God, and that is Weird Science! Yes, finally, Weird Science is in a Blu-ray form in the collection, guys. Now, this is an upgrade, because I did have the DVD, and, you know, I know it's come out on Blu-ray before, but I don't know, for some reason I just held back because I was like, it didn't seem like a really good Blu-ray edition. I've seen reviews of previous Blu-ray editions of the movie and they've been like, it hasn't been so great. So I was like, I'll wait. Eventually somebody's got to release it, right? And when Criterion put out The Breakfast Club, that's when I was starting to think like there's hope for other John Hughes titles to come out either from Criterion or other like great distributors. And I'm so glad that Arrow got a hold of Weird Science, because man, it's way overdue for a really fantastic Blu-ray edition, and I'm so happy to finally get it. And this is actually the Steelbook, guys. This is the Steelbook edition. I was debating whether to get the regular edition or the Steelbook edition, and I finally pulled the trigger on the Steelbook edition. I'm actually really happy that I did, guys. It looks absolutely gorgeous here. Oh, great. I love that. On the backside, Kelly LeBrock. Smoking back in the day. Smoking, guys. Really fantastic. And on the inside here, you get a booklet right here. A booklet on the making of the movie and all the writings about it and everything and pictures and very, very, very cool stuff. And here you get that. On one side, you get, yeah, very nice. You get that. And on the other side, you get very cool, right? Nice. I like that. Very, very cool. You gotta have the sort of bras on the head thing, right? It's comedy. But this is really great movie. It's about Wyatt and Gary, who are basically these just down on their luck high school losers that can't get a date and have no sort of really other friends except for themselves, and you know that they just can't catch a break whatsoever. And one day they decide, you know what, let's they're watching Frankenstein. Actually, I believe they're watching Bride of Frankenstein, if I'm not mistaken. And they're like, let's create a woman. Let's create a woman. And just randomly on a computer, they upload images and beep boop, beep boop, beep boop. And suddenly the house is going all crazy. They got bras on their heads, papers flying all over the place. And who shows up but Kelly LeBrock right there. And sort of she ends up taking them under their wing and you know, making them cool. And you know, it's sort of this great sort of comedy coming of age movie uh with just great 80s nostalgia, man. I just really love this movie so goddamn much. I remember seeing it when I was younger. It's one of those movies that was actually on VHS. You know, when my mother and father would take VHSs, it was on there. And watching it, I'm like, this is great, man. This is really cool. And I fell in love with Kelly LeBrock, and I thought Anthony Michael Hall was just the coolest motherfucker on the planet. And I thought this was just a really great science fiction comedy that I just couldn't resist and still can't to this day. I love it so goddamn much, man. And John Hughes, man, was so brilliant, dude. God, talk about somebody who had such a great run in the '80s, dude. He was awesome, man. And this is one of those movies that absolutely proves that. You know, if you think of this concept, you think like this movie is not going to be good. It has, no chance of being good. You just hear the idea of it, and he just pulls it off with complete perfect success, man. Oh God, so wonderful of a movie. I love this. The comedy, even things like the brother Chet. I love just how just grimy and just one evil son of a bitch he is, and I love towards the end when Kelly LeBrock turns him into something. I won't spoil it if you guys haven't seen it, but she turns him into some sort of like this weird sort of looking almost like a turd monster or something. It looks really messed up, but really funny. And I just think it was just a really just fantastic, great, fun time. And that's why I think this movie has survived over the years. I just think it's so fun and it's such a blast to watch that I think that's why people revisit it so much, man. And I'm so glad that Arrow put this out, man. I think the picture quality here is absolutely stunning. It's amazing. I think the special features are great here. You get a commentary. You get a great documentary on the making of the film. Little short part featurettes that build into a documentary. You get new interviews, and you get sort of all the alternate deleted scenes, and there's so much stuff here that you really get in this. This is such a really fantastic movie. Arrow gave it the love that it deserves. I'm so happy because I had the old DVD for a long time, and when this got announced by Arrow, I was immediately like, boom, I'm clicking, I'm buying it, man, and that's what I did, and I'm so happy that I got this, dude. If you guys have not seen Weird Science, what the hell are you doing, guys? Go ahead and watch Weird Science, and if you have watched it and have not picked up the Arrow edition, go ahead and do that, man, because this is absolutely awesome, and it's such a brilliant and funny as hell '80s movie, man. I love this movie so much. Glad to have the Blu-ray edition in the collection, guys. Weird Science. Then the next title that I got is one from Scorpion Releasing, and that is none other than Terror Train right here, guys, with this really great slipcover, man. That's a really great slip, dude. I love that. Really cool new art. And on the inside, you have the old school theatrical art as well, right there. Very nice. I love that art. And this movie is basically about these college kids who they do this prank on this one sort of lonely sort of kid, and it's sort of this sex prank, and it goes terribly, horribly wrong, and uh, he's so embarrassed, and something happens to him, and cut to like I believe like a year later or something like that, and now all these people are going on this sort of trip on this train, and it's all sort of like towards like Halloween time, and they're all sort of dressing up, and this person, whoever it is now on the train with them, and they are picking these people up or picking these people off one by one, and in just very cool and gruesome fashion. And I really like this movie, man. It's kind of interesting because Jamie Lee, she's such a great scream queen, and she is the definition of a scream queen by far. And I've always felt like a lot of people never really talk about Terror Train too much as far as her sort of horror oeuvre, I guess. I mean, it's much better than I think people give it credit for. I think a lot of people at the time just thought it was this sort of cheap, sort of Halloween knockoff. And I think it's better than that. I really honestly do. I like the kills. I like the characters. I like Jamie Lee here. I think she's really relatable and a very great survivor girl. She's always been that. I really love her a lot in here. You also get David Copperfield in here, a really young David Copperfield, doing sort of these magic tricks, and sort of before he really became sort of big, famous David Copperfield. I really like the killer here. I like the killer being in the different masks. I like his motivation. I just I like this really cool little horror slasher film that I don't think gets as much love as I think it really should, guys. I think it's way better than I think a lot of people have given it credit for, and I think a lot of people just consider it sort of this sort of like just sort of like a dumping ground type of a movie. But it's not that, guys. It's really not that at all. And I think it's much better than that. And honestly, it definitely is worth your time, guys. If you like these type of slasher movies, for sure. But I will admit this. Now, this, of course, is from Scorpion Releasing, and Scorpion Releasing did a really great job with this. I thought the picture quality was decent. Now, I have the Scream Factory edition right here. I have the old school Scream Factory edition, which is great. I really love this edition quite a bit, guys. Now, this is out of print. Now, this has all of the same special features that this has, except for it has a brand new on-camera interview with the director and a brand new on-camera interview with one of the writers. That's it. So there's only two new features here compared to this. Now, was it worth the pickup? It's kind of tough to say for me because yes, I double dipped on this title. I wanted the extra features on this, and I really do like Scorpion Releasing quite a bit. I'm still gonna keep my Scream Factory edition, guys, because I'm not gonna get rid of that anytime soon. But I will admit that, was it completely worth it? Not too sure on this one. I mean, like I said, I love the movie, but you know, I'm glad to have both editions. It's nice to have the extra features. But I guess it all depends on you guys whether it's worth a double dip or not. For me, like I said, I love the Scream Factory edition so much, and I like Scorpion Release, and so I wanted to support this company, but still, some people are gonna weigh whether it's worth it to upgrade or not. If you don't have the Scream Factory edition, then it's definitely worth it. If you do, then well, you may want to rethink about it a little bit. But I thought it was well worth it, so I definitely took the gamble, guys, for sure. But it's a really great little slasher movie, and again, I think Jamie Lee is just a great horror queen and horror scream queen, and I think some of her older horror titles don't get as much love as they do, and I think Terror Train is one of them. So if you haven't checked out Terror Train, definitely do it, guys. I don't think you'll really be disappointed. Not half bad of a Jamie Lee Curtis horror flick. Terror Train. And the next title that I picked up, guys, is a release that I think you guys are going to be a little surprised that I got because I don't think you guys thought I would ever be into this movie, but yeah, you'd be surprised what I'm into, guys. And that is Steel Magnolias right here. Now, okay, out of all the pickups, this is probably the redheaded stepchild of the pickups for this month. But, okay, so look. Back in the day, I told you guys that my mother and father would tape these movies on VHS and I would watch them when I was younger. And Steel Magnolias was one of those movies. Now, I watched a bunch of stuff back in the day, whether it's horror, whether it's sci-fi, whether it's action, whether it's drama, whether it's romantic comedies. It didn't really matter. There was a whole bunch of genres that I just delved into as a kid, and my mother and father encouraged me to watch any and all movies, didn't matter what genre it was in. And this was one of those ones where, number one, I mean, my mother loved the movie, so, I mean, she watched it any chance she got, so definitely I was influenced by that. But also, it's just a really good story with really great acting and really great characters. It's basically about this woman played by Sally Field whose daughter is getting married and she has this form of, I believe it's diabetes. And the idea that, childbearing could be really difficult for her, it could be life-threatening, and the fact that she has to lean on her friends in this small Louisiana parish, and, sort of they come together and deal with the beginning of new life and the loss of life and celebrating their friendships. And I've always been a big fan of this movie, man. I really have. Everybody here hits it out of the park, man. Sally Field, Dolly Parton, Shirley MacLaine, Daryl Hannah, Olympia Dukakis, Julia Roberts, man. There's a young Julia Roberts in here as well. A really fantastic, really underrated sort of romance drama type of movie which I've really loved for a long time, man. And this usually has not really ever had a Blu-ray release. And when I saw that it got announced on Blu-ray, it was always really high price on Amazon, and I was not sure I wanted to pay it the high price. So when it finally lowered the price on Amazon, that's when I took advantage of it, and I'm so happy I did. I'm so happy to have it in the collection because it's one that I haven't seen in such a long time, since basically VHS. And I missed having it in just the collection and just being able to watch it. And it's such a really great movie, man. Everybody just hits it out of the park. Even Dolly Parton, man. And Dolly Parton really is not the greatest actress of all time, but it's movies like this and 9 to 5 where I'm always like, hey, she's actually a good actress when she actually puts her mind to it. And it's really great. And again, it's one of those great time capsules of a movie where you had such great actors and actresses at a certain time in their career. You had Julia Roberts that was just up and coming. You had people like Sally Field and Shirley MacLaine and Olympia Dukakis, who were already very well established and well respected actresses. And you meld sort of the new school with the old school. You also have Dylan McDermott in here as well, and so many others. Man, it's such a really great story, dude. It really honestly is. It's very emotional. And there were times, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sit here and bullshit you guys. I cried. There were times when I literally was shedding a tear back in the day, and it's such a great emotional story. And they really don't make movies like this anymore, man. You know, I say that about a lot of genres, but it really is true. There's certain movies where they just don't make them like this anymore, and Steel Magnolias really is one of them. It's such a great sort of slice of a time when you can have all these actors together and really tell a great dramatic, funny, heartwarming story. And I think people really leave the theater in not only a very heartbreaking mood, but in a very sort of like joyous mood of having spent, an hour and a half with these characters and really enjoy them, man. I really enjoyed this movie quite a bit. I still do to this day, and it's one of those movies where it really does deserve more love than it honestly gets. I think this is one of those movies that really has been forgotten, to be honest with you. Nobody really talks about this movie, so if you guys have not seen this and like these type of movies, please give it a chance, man. Very well done here. And you get actually a few special features here, which I was not prepared for. I thought it was just going to be the movie itself. But you get director's commentary, you get In Full Bloom Remembering Steel Magnolias featurette, deleted scenes, and theatrical trailer. Really great featurette on the Remembering Steel Magnolias featurette, man. Because they talk about the making of the movie and what their thoughts are years later, and really great one. Even the director commentary, man, is just really great of just talking about working with the actors and the experiences he had. Really fantastic, man. I really enjoy this one quite a bit. And again, man, it's nostalgia, especially for me having watched it on VHS years ago and finally having it in the collection. But it's nice to, there's certain ones where you watch it on VHS and you haven't watched it years and years, and then finally it comes out on Blu-ray and you're like, I gotta pick this up, man, because it warms my heart. And this is one of those titles, dude. So I'm glad to have it in the collection, man. If you haven't watched it, give it a chance, dude. I don't think you're gonna be disappointed. Steel Magnolias. Then the next title I picked up is another Arrow video title, guys, and this one actually I was really happy to get a little bit early because it doesn't really release until August, but I got it in early from Diabolic, and I was like, yeah, baby. And that is none other than Alice, Sweet Alice right here, with this really great slipcover, man. I really love the art on this quite a bit. And then on the inside, you get the theatrical art there, which I've always loved. Really great theatrical art there as well, man. Really, really great. And on the inside here, you also get a booklet here as well, which is right here, and it actually shows off the movie and the writings about the movie and some of the pictures and everything. Really cool booklet as well. I always love these booklets that are talking about the making of the movie because it's always fascinating to me, guys. It really honestly is. But you know what? This was actually a blind buy Now, you guys will be a little shocked by that, but honestly, this is one that I've never actually watched before. Now, I remember back in the day, they used to have this top 100 horror movies on the Bravo network, and they talked about these 100, top horror movies. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it or not. The one from Bravo. Definitely let me know if you have. It's a really fascinating one, talking about all these 100 horror films, and some of them I had seen, some of them I hadn't seen. I saw it years and years ago, and one of them on the list was Alice, Sweet Alice, and I'm like, I had never seen that, and it looked really interesting, and sort of the killer in the raincoat, and I'm like, this looks really cool. And I never went back and actually watched it. And it was only until Arrow Video announced it where I was like, "Oh my god, I totally forgot about that movie, man. I gotta like watch this." And I was like, "Okay, I'm buying this. I'm gonna give it a chance because I've heard so many good things about it, and everybody really loves it. So why not give it a chance?" And I was pleasantly surprised by this one, guys. I thought it was really, really very well done, very artistic. I really love the kills in here. I love the killer, like I said, in the raincoat. Thought was really, really awesome here. And by the way, you don't really get to find out who the killer is until sort of about maybe 2/3 into the movie or something when you find out, and you don't really you I don't think you really guess who it is until they really tell you. At least for me. I really I really like the acting here. A very young Brooke Shields here as well. I like the religious undertones here. I like I like the aspect of the idea of the church and the idea of um, what you'll do for religion and payback and stuff like that. I really like sort of the concepts in this movie quite a bit. And I like sort of the killer's mask and everything as well. And what I like about it is that they have this twist in the movie, and I won't say what the twist is, towards the beginning with Brooke Shields. And when that happens, you're literally like, "Oh my god, they actually did that. They actually went and did the unthinkable." And now you're like, I don't know where this movie's going. Like now it's like, okay, they did this, and wherever they go next is like a crapshoot. And I always thought it was really cool, and I always thought that it was like, okay, this is really bold to do this in the movie, especially when it concerns sort of religion and everything. I thought it was bold, man. I thought it was a really fantastic movie and so well done. And I love the artistry here. I love sort of the colors and just sort of the locations and sort of the relationship that the mother has with sort of the girls and even some of the other scummy characters. Like there's this character who is living in the apartment. I think he's the landlord, and he's really just fat and disgusting, and it's very much of a pervert. And you're just like, oh god, and you're just like you fear for these girls, and you're like, good gracious, man, and you just never feel safe in a movie like this, and I really love that quite a bit. I had a ball with this movie, man. I really loved it quite a bit. And again, a complete blind buy because I had never seen this movie before. I really did love this one quite a bit. This was a blind buy, but a well worth it blind buy for sure, guys. And it actually also goes by another name, which is called a communion, which actually I think fits the movie probably a little bit better than Alice Sweet Alice. But I think Alice Sweet Alice has a better ring to it than Communion. But yeah, this is a great one, and I can see why it would be on a top 100 horror list. I definitely could see why it would be on there, guys. But Arrow Video definitely gave it the love it deserved, guys. I mean, you get a brand new audio commentary with Richard Harlan Smith here, which is a really great sort of audio commentary talking about the movie and the undertones of it and the acting and everything. Really interesting one. You also get here an archival audio commentary with co-writer director Alfred Soule and editor M. Edward Sallier. You also get First Communion. Alfred Soule remembers Alice, Sweet Alice, which is a great sort of new and interesting sort of interview with him talking about the movie and talking about how they changed the name of it and making the movie and the religious stuff to it. You also get here Alice on My Mind, a brand new interview with the composer. You get In the Name of the Father, a brand new interview with actor Niles McCaster. And he's actually really cool. He's actually doing it through Skype. And he's actually talking about the movie and talking about his career, and really interesting one there as well. You also have Sweet Memories, Dante Tomaselli on Al Sweet Alice. He's actually the cousin of Alfred Soule, and he discusses his longtime connection to the film itself. Really interesting stuff there. Lost Childhood, the locations of Alice, Sweet Alice. Just a tour through what the locations were and what they are now. Very interesting stuff there. You get an alternate Holy Terror television cut, which is good. But honestly, I'm always somebody that will watch the original version of a movie, the TV cut. Even though TV cuts are fascinating, I honestly could care less about TV cuts because I want to see the full on stabbings and everything. That's just me, but. They also have deleted scenes, alternate opening titles, trailer and TV spots, image gallery, and original screenplay on the BD-ROM format. Oh, and much, much more. A lot of stuff packed in this release by Arrow Video, and well deserved, guys. Again, I think as a horror lover, I think we always think that, oh, we've seen every horror movie out there. And then there's stuff that comes out where you're like, wow, I guess I've never seen this, and I'm going to give it a chance. This was one of those ones where I'm really glad I gave it a chance, guys. And honestly, I was not disappointed at all. If you guys have not seen Alice, Sweet Alice, I highly recommend it. Not bad at all, guys. Alice, Sweet Alice. And last but certainly not least, I got a title from the Criterion sale. Now, I always really liked the Criterion sale, guys. I really always have. And I think for me, I've always said that there's a lot of really great and interesting movies out there, and sometimes it's hard to justify the price sometimes to watch a movie that maybe you might like and maybe not. But what's great about the Criterion sale is that when it's 50% off, I think you tend to give movies a chance where otherwise you might not have. And for me, I've always, at least every time the Criterion sale has went on, I've always bought at least one, if not more, titles. This time around, I only got one, but it's one where I'm really glad to finally have in the collection, and that is Midnight Cowboy. With this really great sort of alternate artwork, which I've always really loved, man. Criterion always does some really unique and interesting art, and I can't say I always like the alternate artwork that some of these companies do, but Criterion tends to do some really fascinating stuff, and this is actually not bad. I think it kind of fits the movie pretty well. I like the colors here and everything. Not bad at all. And on the inside, guys, you also get a little booklet here that talks about the making of the movie and has some articles right here and has some pictures and everything as well. Not bad at all, guys. Not bad one bit. And this movie is actually a blind buy. Now, I know what you guys are thinking. You guys are thinking, really? This is a blind buy? You've never seen Midnight Cowboy before? And honestly, I never have. Now, there's a lot of classic movies that I've never gotten a chance to watch yet. But, it's kind of funny because we all think like, oh, we've seen every great movie out there that we possibly can. No, I'll fully admit it. There's a lot of movies out there that I have not given a chance to yet that I definitely want to. And there's many, many years more to go of me being a movie lover that there's still a lot of discovery for me to do. But I can definitely check one off the list for sure. And basically it's about this guy, Joe Buck, and he's somebody who is very wide-eyed and somebody who has a lot of enthusiasm for wanting to move out of this sort of humdrum life that he has and move to the big city in New York and sort of make it big, so to speak. He wants to be a hustler. He loves women, and he loves making love to him, and he figures if he can combine that and actually make money off it, why not? So he's going to New York City to be a success. And you know what he truly finds, man, is that the world is so much more complicated and so much more rough and so much more uncompromising than he could possibly ever imagine. And it's just a story about growing up. It's a story about sort of becoming an adult. It's a story about responsibility. It's a story about essentially maybe losing your innocence and coming to reality with life. It's a very powerful movie, man. Jon Voight, who plays Joe Buck, does a fantastic job. A really young Jon Voight, who does an amazing job with this role. Dustin Hoffman, who plays Ratso Rizzo. Oh my God, man, he is fucking phenomenal in here. I think this movie was after The Graduate, and he just proved, like, from The Graduate, and here he proved how fucking awesome he is as an actor, and still proves it to this day. He's an amazing, amazing actor, amazing talent, and the chemistry between him and Jon Voight is absolutely off the charts, man. They're great. The arguments that they have and the camaraderie that they have at times when they're trying to deal with being poor and trying to live, day after day and trying to hustle people. It's really very interesting. And also, this movie shows a side of New York that is really fascinating. It's a side that really we don't get to see a lot anymore. This really grimy and scummy and gritty New York City that you really don't get to see anymore. And I really like seeing that. It's sort of almost like a time capsule of a time, very, very far gone now. It's a really fascinating, powerful movie that was really uncompromised because at first this movie got an X rating, and then what happened was is that it won all these Academy Awards, and they're going to release the film wide, and sort of the MPAA comes in and says, hey, we will give you an R as long as we can cut at least one frame from the movie and say, hey, we cut the movie. And the director, John Schlesinger, and all these people are like, no, screw that. We're not going to let you cut the movie. We're not going to let you cut a single frame of this thing. You're either going to release it the way it is or you're not going to release it at all. And they're like, okay, then we're just going to release it. And I think, again, when you win Best Picture at the Academy Awards, you pretty much have carte blanche to do whatever the hell you want. And I really love that, man. I love that the filmmakers were bold. They were uncompromising. They stuck to their guns. They wanted to make the movie they wanted to make, and they got it done. And God bless them for it, man. Like I said, this movie is a great slice of a time long gone, and these actors who were really young. You didn't know really, what would happen with Jon Voight in his career, or what would happen with Dustin Hoffman. You just knew that these are really exciting and interesting actors, and you couldn't wait to see what they did next. And I just think it's a really great slice of, again, just these really great young filmmakers and young actors who have really just are really hungry and really wanted to make the best movie they possibly could. And this is a fantastic movie, man. It honestly is. It's a wonderful, wonderful piece of old school cinema, which I'm so glad that Criterion put out, because I like seeing these type of movies preserved, because the farther removed that you get from a lot of these films, I feel like sometimes they kind of get a little bit forgotten, like time has sort of passed them by. There's certain films that will never be forgotten, Apocalypse Now and a bunch of other stuff, The Godfather, but there's certain ones that Midnight Cowboy that maybe feel like, it's no longer with the times. Like, there's certain things here where they talk about gay people, and they talk about certain other aspects of life in New York City that maybe is a very unpopular opinion now. But you have to remember, it was back in a time when you could do that. And again, I feel like a lot of people see, I think people look at these movies years from now and they're like, oh, well, I don't like the way they talk about that in the movie, or I don't like this, and this is what I don't like about that, and I think it's really offensive. I get it, I understand it, but at the end of the day, you have to remember that that nobody knew where society was going to be 20, 30 years from that point. Nobody knew what was going to happen. They were living in the moment. That's how the film portrays that time period. And I'm okay with it because it's a slice of a time that is no longer around, but I think you still have to look back and appreciate those moments and appreciate those films that came out of those times. And I think Midnight Cowboy is one of them. I think it's a brilliant film, man, and I'm so glad I finally got a chance to watch it. Really well done, and Criterion definitely gave it the love it deserved, guys. You get here an audio commentary from 1991 featuring director Don Schlesinger and one of the producers. Very great audio commentary, really talking about working with Dustin Hoffman and Jon Voight and making the movie and how he wanted it to be very uncompromised and uncensored, and I really liked it quite a bit, that commentary. You will also get a new video essay with commentary as well. You get a new photo gallery with the commentary. You get the Crowd Around the Cowboy, a 1969 short film made on location for Midnight Cowboy. You get Waldo Sall, the screenwriter's journey. You also get 2 short documentaries from 2004 on the making and release of Midnight Cowboy. Interviews with Jon Voight on The David Frost Show from 1970. Voight's original screen test. Interview from 2000 with Schlesinger. Excerpts from the 2002 BAFTA Los Angeles Tribute to Schlesinger trailer. And as I said, you also get the essay on the inside here from one of the critics. There is so much stuff to chew in this release, guys, and it is such a well done movie. Honestly, I love Criterion because they always put out really fascinating movies, and this is definitely one of them, guys. I love this movie so much, and honestly, it's a wild trip of a movie, but it's one that I really appreciate for the time period that it was made in. And if you guys have not checked this out, definitely do it, guys. Just for the acting alone, and I think just being uncensored and uncompromising of a movie, it's so well done. It's a little bit of a trippy film, but one definitely worth your time. So definitely give it a look, guys. Midnight Cowboy. Alright, everybody, that'll do it for the Blu-ray pickup video for July of 2019. And as you can see here, guys, some really great variety and selection this month. Not as plentiful as last month, but I think, again, the really cool, unique, and interesting titles that I picked up were definitely well worth it, guys. So I am a happy man indeed for what I got. Definitely let me know what you guys picked up for the month. I'm definitely interested to find out. And now we are heading into August, and let me tell you something. There is a wide variety of titles that are coming out for August, man. There is a crap ton of titles. Whether it's new releases from movies that got theatrically released in the spring that are finally getting the physical media love. You've also got some really cool old school movies that are getting some love through these independent distribution labels like Warner Archives putting out some cool stuff, Arrow Video, Scream Factory, a bunch of other ones as well, on top of a few cool, interesting surprises. August is going to be quite the good month for physical media. I'm picking up some really good stuff, but you guys will have to wait to find out what I get until the next Blu-ray pickup video. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Check out the other Blu-ray pickup videos I do every single month. Check out the Blu-ray DVD Tuesday videos I do every single week. The theatrical movie reviews I do with my friends every single week. Plus movie hunting videos, movie topic videos, and much, much more. If you like movies and physical media, hit subscribe and become a part of the Film Fan Nation. I want to thank my subscribers. You guys are absolutely aces, and I love the back and forth that you guys give me. I love how you guys have your passion and love about movies and how you send your passion my way, and I hope I send the passion right back to you guys. I really hope I do. So if you love what I do and love how I talk about movies and love the videos, then definitely hit subscribe. And keep up to date with all that I'm doing through Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, FilmFan108. Keep up to date with everything I'm doing, plus special videos and pictures I do from time to time on social media as well. Alright, guys, well, this was quite a good month for July. August will definitely be fantastic as well. And I will see you back next time for a brand new Blu-ray pickup video. Take care, everybody, and happy hunting.